our senior Anscape writer, David Dennis Jr., to the conversation as well. There's a lot of paths here that the Golden State Warriors can take. Brian, if you are trying to choose, you're at this fork in the road, where are you headed?
Yeah, so you talked about the shooting guard situation. Steve Kerr actually believes he's got 13 different players he'd feel comfortable putting in the rotation. He's obviously not going to play all 13. Ask Jason Tatum about how many he likes to play.
Oh,
but
to go there.
That's one path that they can go, is to try to figure out how many lineups, what lineup works the best. The other path is, let's look what they've done since last season. Last January or February, they called the Lakers and asked about LeBron. Now, the talks didn't go anywhere, but they were prepared to make a big trade for LeBron. In June, they were trying to trade for Paul George before he opted out of his contract and went to the 76ers. In July, they were trying to trade for Lauri Markkanen. This is a team that clearly wants to make a big deal and is looking for a big deal. So while they do have a very nice, deep team, which is it going to be? I think right now, obviously, they're going to try to develop these 13 guys that Steve Kerr likes, but let's keep that other part in the back of our minds.
Yeah, we'll keep it in the back of our mind, and the way the season goes, if this roster plays like you think that they might play, they might not have to worry about, who they're looking for come trade deadline, because I'm looking at this roster, right, and I'm struggling to find how this is much worse than the roster that won the championship in 2022. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. The West is a lot better. The competition is a lot better. But when we look at the two things that they were missing a lot of defense. Now they have that with Melton. Now they have that with, Peyton is coming back. They have defensive flexibility. And they have 3-and-D guys to play around Steph. And they have flexibility and depth. These are the things that you want, and the Warriors have been missing. I think that there is a devastating closing lineup somewhere in this roster for Steve Kerr to find. The offense is going to be great. An offense with Steph Curry is always top in offensive rating whenever he plays. It's about all those other things that they have been missing. We all talked about sleepers. I'm not sure how we're talking about sleepers without talking about this Golden State Warriors team.
I'll tell you how I'm not. I'll tell you why they're not even close to being a sleeper. They're a play-in team. They're a play-in team. And the reason being is because, look, is Steve Kerr a Hall of Fame coach? Absolutely. Do I trust him? Hell no. Right? He walked into a golden situation when he took over the job of being the Warriors head coach, a culture, a foundation that was already built. And then the team the Warriors, the KD Warriors, I could have coached that team and won the championship. This time, with no expectations, no pressure, Steve Kerr, we need to see if you could turn water into wine. What are you going to do with these young guys that you have on the bench? We talk about Podziemski. What kind of role is he going to play on this team? Moses Moody. I don't want to mess up his name like I did 3 years ago.
Well done.
Damn it, I got it right. What are you going to do with Moses Moody? What type of minutes is he going to get? What type of role is he going to bring? The most important player outside of Steph Curry is Jonathan Kuminga, who I believe should be the second option on this team, but Steve Kerr got to instill that confidence into him to let him know he is that second option.
Not to mention there's still an extension that is dangling over Jonathan Kuminga's head and whether or not that'll happen. You said, DDJ, that this Golden State Warriors team, you do not see much difference between that roster and 2022.
Yeah, I would disagree.
That was so polite.
Yeah, that was so kind. I'll accept that. Yeah.
Definitely disrespectful.
No disrespect. I think it's just a different team, and every year is different for everyone. So, they got a chance just because you never know how the year goes and the year might end, but. We'll see.
They got a chance to do what?
There's always a chance in the beginning. I think it's equal playing field.
Yeah, when you have one of the three most devastating offensive players in the league, you always have a chance. And we're talking about in relation to that 2022 roster, one of the key parts of that was Andrew Wiggins and what he did. And he was the second best player on that playoff team. Yeah. And I think that we are going to see a bounce-back season with Wiggins after a couple of tough seasons off the court.
Let me ask you a question. Do you trust Andrew Wiggins from what you witnessed the last 2 years out of him? Do you trust him right now?
I trust. He has.
Yes or no?
Yes. I do trust him. I trust him.
Do you trust Draymond Green offensively from what we've seen in the decline in his game offensively? Do you trust him?
I don't.
Okay, so you lose Klay Thompson. You're going to have to get something out of these young guys. Draymond is not the Draymond of old. The West has gotten better, right? We could run off a list of teams right now in the Western Conference that are better, about 8 of them that are better than the Golden State Warriors just on paper alone that we would pick to.
You could be right about that, but I don't like how you're underselling Steve Kerr. Yeah. I mean, first off, I disagree that he didn't set the culture in 2014. I think he absolutely set the culture in 2014. But that's a 10-year-old argument. I'm not going to go there.
Well, that's what we do here on this show sometimes.
He did a great job in 2022 putting that team together and bringing that team back from where they were. He has proven you can really get a culture of a team going together. He's got a big job. I'm not going to.
He got a huge job. His record without Steph Curry is like 67 and 106.
Throwing that stat
it don't even
away.
matter.
What was Phil Jackson's record without Michael Jordan? You can't look at the. You can't. Don't use that stat anymore.
So let me.
Because it was a tank season. They were tanking.
Let's take one step back if we could, right? Play-in team, similarities with 2022. The Golden State Warriors have become synonymous with a dynasty. They've become synonymous with the NBA Finals. They've become synonymous with winning. So, Vic, in your mind, a successful season for Golden State, based in this reality that we're living in, is what?
I mean, if it's up to Perk, just winning a playing game. I think that's enough in itself, and we'll see. A
successful season for this Golden State Warriors team is the first round of the playoffs. No one will complain. That's a successful team. No one will call it a failure.
Kirk and I are in agreement on that.
Yeah, I think he won a good playoff run, but what's just as important is you want to see these young guys be building blocks. I want to see Kuminga be that guy. I want to see Podziemski be that guy. I want to see something that you could build around for when Steph does eventually start to decline, that you have building blocks for a championship team to get squeezed one more title out of that team.
So you do agree with me.
Well, clearly, all of these problems will be solved tonight in their preseason game in Sacramento, right?
So as you guys see, there are some people out there that are a fan of the Golden State Warriors and others who don't think that they have a great opportunity. But I do believe that the Golden State Warriors are a dark horse in the Western Conference, because you do have to remember, we still have the greatest shooter alive in Stephen Curry in this team. And I think that's all you really need, and all you need is the right pieces around them, which the Golden State Warriors have been able to do very well. Now, when it comes to the offseason, yes, they may not have gotten an NBA superstar, another all-star, anything like that, but I do believe that they have built a good roster around them. And when it comes to some of those players, I think Buddy Hield is going to surprise a lot of people coming into this next season. Now, last season, he did play for Philly and Indy, and during his time in Philly, he did average 12.2 points, 3 assists, and also 3.2 rebounds. But you also do have to remember that he was one of the few players to have almost a 40% three-point percentage while also shooting more than 6 3-point attempts per game. So he's in a class of some of the elite, and because of that, I definitely see him filling that role that Klay Thompson left behind when he moved on to the Dallas Mavericks. So I do believe that the Golden State Warriors have been able to find a pretty good replacement. Now, it may be no Klay Thompson, but I do believe it is going to provide that scoring that is needed, especially from the 3-ball point. Now, on top of that, I think deanthony Melton is also another sleeper player, with him being a fantastic shooting guard. Even though he is a little bit undersized, he did a great job at Philly, averaging 11 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 3 assists, while also having a really good 3-point percentage of 36%, attempting around 5 threes per game. So they definitely got a lot more shooters around them, and adding that to Kyle Anderson as well, who honestly did a great job for playing for Minnesota, averaging 6.4 points, 4.2 assists, and 3.5 rebounds. So they have gotten a lot of great additions to this team. But when it comes to the team in general, do they have enough to really keep going and actually win an NBA championship? I think yes. Now, they could definitely use an extra star, and it has been rumored time and time again that the Golden State Warriors are looking to get another star in this team before the trade deadline. So I do believe that when it comes to the Warriors, yes, they may head into this season with this team, but they may not get into the postseason with the same team, as we could see some big trades happening right before the trade deadline. And you also have other players that are going to be getting bigger roles than last year. Brandin Podziemski, we all know how fantastic he's been. He had 9.2 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 3.7 assists in his rookie season, and he's coming into this next season as a more polished, finished product, which definitely could help this team greatly. Another player is Jonathan Kuminga. We all know the potential Jonathan Kuminga has at 6'8", 210 pounds. And when it came to last season, he did get quite a significant increase in his role, averaging 16 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. And we definitely could see a similar result coming from Jonathan Kuminga, or if anything, even more. So the Warriors have the right pieces. They definitely have something in there where they can actually make a proper run for an NBA championship. And I know you may be thinking, oh, they don't have enough stars in this team or anything like that. But guys, we've seen time and time again, it's never the team with a bunch of stars that win the NBA championship. It's always those teams that play well together. And when we also look at even the Golden State Warriors, when they did win that most recent chip, they didn't have anything special. They had the simple big three. And because of that, they played like a team and they were able to get it done. And I think they have the same capability that they do this year. When it came to ESPN, like you just heard, you heard some of them also even say that they probably have a better team this year than they did when they won the championship last time. So could be up in the air. Jonathan Kuminga has definitely improved. They've got a new addition. Brandin Podziemski has also improved from his rookie season. So they definitely have the right pieces. Now putting together is where it's going to really shine, which we could definitely see coming into this season. Now the biggest change at the Golden State Warriors I think I see when it comes to this season coming up versus last season is that they definitely have a lot more offensive and defensive threats out there. As Klay Thompson is left, they were able to get 2 or 3 guys that are able to provide that offense, not just if they're in the starting lineup, but also coming off the bench. So they definitely have become a more deeper team.